Well, Lomi, or Pella, the company that makes Lomi, is now threatening legal action against me. Yes, apparently I violated their copyright by criticizing their stuff. Oh, if only all those people on YouTube knew that you could simply file a copyright violation claim against anyone who criticized you for saying dumb stuff, say for instance, that would be a fantastic way of shutting down your critics. Oh, that's right, sorry, I forgot. All of that's covered under fair use, because it would be so obviously dumb if you had to get someone's approval simply so you could criticize their work or what they were doing or whatever, which is why this stuff is covered by fair use. And not only that, if you file a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown against someone's work without considering that it might be covered under fair use, you can be liable for damages. Yeah, foreshadowing. So, yeah, trying to silence your critics by claiming they're abusing copyright. Not off to a good start there, Pella. And they've contacted YouTube, who will tell them it's not our problem. We have a safe harbor provision. If you want to take down the video for a copyright violation, you have to file a Digital Millennium copyright takedown against the video, and then they'll take it down. But of course, if they do that, I can counterfile, and if they don't contest it, or they contest it and they lose, they can be liable for damages. Okay, so the overwhelming amount of this letter seems to be consumed with copyright issues, which, like I said, it's all covered under fair use criticism. So this is their letter. The video constitutes an infringement of various Pella intellectual property rights. Interesting place to start, including at least copyright infringement of Pella's video entitled Meet Lomi. Okay. So I'm not quite sure what other intellectual property rights they might have. You know, like are there trade secrets in these open videos on YouTube? Anyway, no, specific timestamps for other infringements, blah, 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 can be found at the end. Without waiving any of Pella's rights, immediate removal of the video is demanded, along with confirmation that the video or similar videos will not be reposted on YouTube or elsewhere. We also have contacted YouTube about this matter. Someone is trying their hardest for the Streisand effect here. The Streisand effect is a phenomenon that occurs when an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information has the unintended consequence of increasing awareness of that information. So straight up reading this, they seem to think that I should have got their permission. I should have got a license off them to criticize their stuff. And it's like, no, you don't need to get a license to criticize something that someone's done like this. And they've made no effort, none whatsoever, to consider that this might be covered under fair use, which is something that they are legally required to do before they proceed with something like a copyright takedown. Anyway, you go through, you find pages of, oh, look at all these clips that you used of our stuff, and some of them are incredibly short. So, you know, you take a look at this, 0 to 2 seconds, and you take a look at those 0 to 2 seconds, and
want to save the planet. Tell us about Pila.
Next guest.
right, so
wants us to wrap
these
up
are right. So the two options here: either Pella has gone through and got the rights to Ellen and what was the other one, KTLA1 News, and therefore it's all completely licensed and all that sort of thing. Doubt it. Or alternatively, they used it under what's it called? Oh, that's right, fair use. But now apparently it is actually their copyrighted material. For I don't know why they broke these up into two clips. It's one continuous uncut bit. But whatever. All of this is covered under fair use, under criticism, which brings us on to the heinous libel and slander or whatever. In addition to copyright infringement, the video makes many scientifically false or misleading claims and depictions, a select few as further described in attachment B to this letter. This causes Pella substantial damages. Okay, well, let's take a look at these claims. I mean, they say there are many, but presumably the ones that they've attached are the most egregious, the most clear-cut ones of things where I've said things that are scientifically false or misleading. So here we are at the false and misleading statements, of which there are a grand total of 2 at 3 minutes and 18 minutes 40, which we'll come to in sequence. Right, false and misleading statements. Be kind of an interesting irony if they were actually false and misleading statements themselves. So whatever, desiccate and no methane reduction claim. The video claims that Lomi simply desiccates and grinds up pointlessly the organic waste that goes into Lomi. The video also claims that the output of Lomi cycle releases just as much methane as unprocessed food once Lomi output exposed to rehydration, and that's at 2:55. So at 2:55, we'll find lots of claims about Lomi. Okay.
To the garbage, which then goes to a landfill, which produces methane, which causes climate change.
Yes, if only there was some way you could desiccate this plant waste and then grind it up pointlessly using lots of energy, so you can put it in the soil somewhere where it will rehydrate, then decompose to form exactly as much methane. Is it just me, or has Lomi not been mentioned here at all? You know, to actually claim that this is a direct claim against Lomi would be kind of a false and misleading statement. Let's keep going. Exactly as much global warming as before. Oh, sorry, more global warming, because now you've had to put all of the energy in to desiccate and grind up the waste first. Now all you can do is convince people to pay $5. Okay, so Lomi isn't mentioned here at all. In fact, the actual graphics that are used are from another one of these sort of failed, weed grinding machines that, what was it called? The food cycler. Yeah. Ah, yes. God bless sarcasm. But, I mean, let's just say that for the sake of argument that I did hideously defame them with this horrific accusation that it pointlessly grinds up and dehydrates stuff. You know, where could I possibly get the idea that it's just a drying and mixing machine? Unless, of course, it's something crazy like those are the two bloody labels on the machine itself. Yeah, I can see the $1 million libel case for describing drying and mixing as desiccating and grinding now. Their complaint goes on, however, based on our testing, which has been verified by multiple third parties, the amount of carbon-based greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, that is emitted from Lomi output is much lower than unprocessed waste food, even after the Lomi output has been exposed to rehydration. Yeah, I'm going to push extra doubt on how much decomposition you can actually get done in 4 hours, especially when in their own video. They don't say it's turned into compost in 4 hours. They say it's turned into the start of compost in 4 hours. Which, is straightforward reading of which is, that's what it was beforehand. And of course, I'm going to be completely convinced by all this evidence of carbon dioxide and methane emissions in the details below, and the details below contain nothing about levels of, that's it, right? There is nothing here about levels of, that's the entire thing. There's nothing here about carbon dioxide or methane emissions per kilo. Nothing. And that was their lead complaint, bear in mind. You know, it never bothered them that, I showed that there are half a dozen of these devices and all of them failed or went nowhere. And this is just, iteration 15 or something of the same device, even though they were claiming that it was a brand new idea. The second accusation that I've damaged their reputation somehow seems to be that I claimed that their device must obey the laws of thermodynamics, which is actually pretty much spot on. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay, so this is the second thing where they think that I've caused them huge damages by claiming that it's similar to boiling water claim. The video claims that the process of desiccating organic waste in Lomi, which we've proven is an inaccurate way of explaining what Lomi does, is close enough to the process of boiling 1 litre of water. Which is exactly right. You start off with water in Lomi, and you have to put the energy in to evaporate the water. Yeah, I know I'm going out on a limb here, and I might be totally misrepresenting Lomi, but I think that's what's going on in the part of the cycle called drying. And let's take a look at this completely inaccurate description of that in the video. So even if we assume no losses here, we can calculate exactly how much that's going to cost. Or maybe more relevantly here, its carbon footprint. For the econauts who think they're going to save the planet with a recyclable phone case. Merely to evaporate 1 kilogram of water requires Right, okay. This is exactly right. Million joules to megajoules, or about half a kilowatt hour. Yeah, you've got to put in the energy if you want to evaporate large amounts of water in a short period of time. You've got to put in the enthalpy of phase change, right? That's just it. That's the simple thermodynamics. You can't get around it. That's exactly what Lomi is doing. If only there was some way I could actually demonstrate that. Hang on. So what was my estimate here? Is it's going to take about half a kilowatt hour just to run Lomi, which, yeah, with about a kilo of stuff in, that's roughly what it's going to cost. That was my estimate. The actual number for how much it costs to run Lomi is about 3/4 of a kilowatt hour, almost exactly where I had it pegged, and most of that energy is going to go in to evaporating the water, which is exactly what I was claiming. I mean, it's like, what the hell are they on here? Oh, really? They'll be happy to have their engineering team explain to me how their device violates the laws of thermodynamics when I can see it doing exactly what I predicted here. Here's a deal. How about you get your engineers to watch one of my videos on the Morris Rapid Dryer? You know, you're rapidly drying vegetables. They're doing the same with clothes. And just see if you can understand the basics of the thermodynamics of water from there. Morris, by the way, has since evolved into a Category 5 scam, which I really should come back to sometime. But yeah, in that video, I explain in detail why there is no free lunch in turning the water from a liquid to a gas. But hey, blame me, if you really want to do this, fine. Send me one of your machines and I'll do the tests. I'm more than capable of doing the gas and the thermodynamic analysis. Sure, let's solve this with a truly independent test. Not to mention, I'm actually kind of skeptical that, you can take a kilo of vegetable waste, which is not far off, sort of vegetable soup, that sort of thing, and boil off all the water from that over the period of about 4 hours or so, and not stink the place out, carbon filter or not. So it comes to this. Let's see what Pella's justification is for why they think that my videos don't fall under fair use. Or hell, they might just go for the takedown anyway, in which case, you're goddamn right, I'm going to counterfile. Let's see. I look forward to receiving your analysis as to why my use of your material is not covered under fair use. Filing a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown without considering fair use can result in you being liable for damages. Failing such an analysis, I would of course be happy to receive an apology, either written or video. I take abuse of copyright laws to try and stifle free speech very seriously. Your claim that I have caused substantial damages by inferring that Lomi is constrained by the laws of thermodynamics seems to lack a grounding in reality. Lomi's labels of heating and mixing do seem to confirm the suggestion that it is primarily a desiccating and grinding machine. Best wishes, blah blah blah. And if they come back with something sensible, well, that's great. And if they don't, well, maybe I should do a video on Pella's eco-friendly phone cases. It'd be a real shame if it turned out it would be more environmentally friendly just to take your money and bury it in a hole in the ground than to actually buy a Pella phone case. But whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.